There's a storm brewing. There's a storm brewing that is so obvious if you just look in the right places. It's a storm that we alluded to about a week ago. It's a storm that former Giant kicker Lawrence Tynes has now figured out. It's a storm that's right in front of us. The Buffalo Bills are a disaster. They fired their offensive coordinator. Sean McDermott, as the head coach, is now on the hot seat. The Bills play the Jets on Sunday, a team they struggle with. They have a very, very difficult schedule. And here's why all of this matters. The other part of this perfect storm is that the New York Football Giants are coached by Brian Daboll, and Joe Schoen is their general manager, and they may be destined to have a top pick in this draft. And so the storm is rising. That when this season is over and the Buffalo Bills are a disaster and everyone in Orchard Park has turned on their once-loved quarterback and Sean McDermott's been fired and the Bills are thinking of blowing the thing up and the Giants are sitting there with the number 1 or number 2 overall pick, this inevitable storm will lead to the Buffalo Bills and the New York Giants making a mega trade that no one could have imagined 8 weeks ago or a year ago. Who says no, as Bill Simmons used to ask? Who would say no to Josh Allen to the Giants and a top pick plus more to the Buffalo Bills?
So here's the backstory of this, is you're starting to get former players, Victor Cruz and Eli Manning, on opposite sides of the Daniel Jones debate. What is the Daniel Jones debate? Well, it's easy. Do you keep him or you move on from him? Victor Cruz says, run away from Daniel Jones. His time has passed. Eli Manning says, oh, he's a good kid. He plays hard. Fights back. He'll come back from this. He'll be fine. So it's going to create, and I think it already has, it's already there, a two-sided debate on whether or not Daniel Jones is here for the next years and the short-term future, maybe even long-term future, or is it just time to move on? And I would be in the Eli camp absent the scenario that you just painted, Evan. When you look at a football team every year, I mean, my coach used to say this to me, and it resonated so soundly. And they tried to do this to me, actually. Hiring all positions, including coach. Hiring all position. What did I take that to mean? It means that if you can upgrade somewhere, anywhere, you can upgrade the ball boy or the analytics guy. Upgrade the analytics guy or the ball boy. If you can upgrade the left tackle, upgrade the left tackle. If you can upgrade the running back, upgrade the running back. If you can upgrade the quarterback, even if it doesn't feel like something was on your radar a year ago or 5 weeks ago, to be honest with you, you upgrade the quarterback. If that scenario presented itself, the Giants just stink. As much as Tommy DeVito, we kind of like his spunk, the way that he runs around and makes some things happen. He got into the end zone a couple times. You like him. He's not going to win you enough games to move you out of the top 5. And if you end up somehow in the top 2 or top 1, should the Carolina Panthers somehow win some games, what do you do? Because I don't like drafting a quarterback there. I think there's too many people that want to climb to draft the quarterback. We talked about this a couple of days ago. But if you can trade that pick to get your quarterback who has a relationship with Brian Daboll already, who was an MVP candidate and advancing towards being one of the best quarterbacks in the last decade, right behind Pat Mahomes with Brian Daboll, you absolutely go make that upgrade. You don't even think twice about it.
I wonder, and I will tell you why I think the Buffalo Bills would do it in a second, but I wonder if Giant fans won't fall in love with the idea of drafting their own franchise quarterback.
But the problem with drafting your own is you don't know.
You don't know. But you know what? You also don't know is a bad thing, and you don't know is a really good thing. Because that you don't know could be your Hall of Fame quarterback for the next decade and a half.
Let me take a quick aside.
Yes.
I don't want to go down this route too deep, but let me take a quick aside.
Go ahead.
As a Jet fan, Evan, if you had the choice to have drafted whoever the number 1 pick, C.J. Stroud, who's turning out to be phenomenal.
Yes.
Or get Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
What would you have done?
What? I would have drafted the quarterback.
No, you wouldn't have.
Yes, I would have.
You wouldn't
because
have.
I would have a chance to have my guy for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
There'd be a chance that my youngest son, who doesn't understand football, would wear the jersey of this quarterback 8 years from now when he does understand football.
Also could have been Bryce Young.
Could have been.
He could have been Bryce Young.
Could have been, should have been.
But Bryce Young and or C.J. Stroud or the sure thing. And Aaron Rodgers. Because that's the dilemma. If you're sitting at one or two, whatever, and you can draft one of these two quarterbacks in this upcoming draft, you don't know, right? But if Josh Allen is available and there's a pre-existing relationship, it's not like it's strange.
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, I'm going to pick this girl up at the bar. It's like, oh, yeah, I dated her for 5 months.
He's not a strange is what Tiki is saying.
Exactly.
Yes.
He's not a stranger.
Yeah.
Right? You are going to go get that non-stranger.
No, I get it.
Especially if it's an upgrade.
I
don't
get
even
it.
think this is a debate.
I think amongst Giant fans it is.
No chance.
I think if you have to give up potentially a guy that you're falling in love with because you're sitting there now watching
What's wrong with falling in
Caleb
love with
Williams and Drake May every week.
What's wrong with falling in love with the guy that you know is good already?
Listen, I understand why you'd want to do it. He's Josh Allen. Now, Josh Allen's also a turnover machine. Josh Allen is also...
He was not under Brian Dable.
I get that. He's been a big problem
facts.
over the last couple of years as the Buffalo Bills have now gone sideways to where they may even be entertaining a discussion like this. But I have noticed this about fans, and I'm one of them. This happens to me sometimes, too. You fall in love with an idea. You fall in love with an idea. So, yes, Josh Allen would be safe, but if you get the number 1 overall pick and you're sitting there like Sean Morash is and you're watching Caleb Williams and you're like, oh, this is my guy. Oh, this is amazing. You may say, screw it. I don't want to trade for Josh Allen, give him a brand new contract and deal with those turnovers. I just want to draft my guy. But what I find fascinating for any Bill fan in the audience right now, because you may be angry about this conversation. This may be an affront to you. Bothered that we would be infringing on your quarterback.
How dare you?
Here's the reality. You're 5-5. Your quarterback just got the offensive coordinator fired. And what I mean by that is Josh Allen could sit here all day and tell us he loves Ken Dorsey. His failure is why Ken Dorsey's gone. And his failure would be why Sean McDermott is gone. And because the Buffalo Bills, and I'm not even talking about the Jet game on Sunday because God knows the Jets are going to lose, but then Buffalo plays Philly and Kansas City and Dallas and the Chargers, and they end the season with Miami, there's a damn good chance the Bills are going to miss the playoffs. Tiki, do you agree with this thought real quick?
Yes.
That if the Buffalo Bills miss the playoffs, Sean McDermott's gone?
Everybody's gone.
Okay. Everybody's gone. Now, usually when you have a franchise quarterback and things go awry and you blow up your coaching staff, you wouldn't think about trading your franchise quarterback.
No, you wouldn't.
But usually this storm that we're all witnessing doesn't occur the way it's occurring.
Well, it doesn't happen this quick.
It doesn't happen this quick, and usually there wouldn't be a team sitting there with the connection of that quarterback who would be willing to give up a top pick. Most teams fall in love with the idea of the quarterback, not only because they want to draft their guy, but also for 5 years, that guy's cheaper.
Yeah, and by the way, you're not responsible for the signing bonus.
Right.
Right? That whole big, cap punitive side of this Josh Allen deal, that's not you.
Well, keep this in mind, though, about Josh Allen, because I think a part of how this could realistically happen is Josh Allen saying, I don't want to be here anymore. Is Josh Allen, after the whole coaching staff is fired and the Bills win 7 games, saying, I don't want to be here anymore.
And that, by the way, that has to happen.
That has to, but I'll give you another reason besides failures on why that could happen. You know who's grossly underpaid right now? Josh Allen. It's true.
It's great.
Josh Allen's contract is outdated. Josh Allen makes a few $1 million more than Daniel Jones. So Josh Allen is going to walk into that office after the whole coaching staff is gone and say, oh, by the way, not only do I want to say who the coach is, because this coach screwed me up and this offensive coordinator screwed me up, but he's also going to say, I want a new contract. I saw what Joe Burrow's getting paid. What? I saw what Patrick Mahomes is getting paid. So you are going to have a quarterback with a brand new coaching staff after a complete disaster of a season, and hopefully, Giant fans, we as the New York Jets will contribute to that with a victory on Sunday, but don't hold your breath. And then you're going to have a guy that wants to get paid. Now, normally, again, this is why this is special. This is unique. There isn't a team sitting there with a top 2 pick in a draft that's widely considered to feature 2 franchise quarterbacks that would actually be willing to give up that piece. That doesn't happen. And that's why, Bill fans, you can take a deep breath. You can get mad at the redhead all you want. I'm giving you truths. It is on the table that the Buffalo Bills would look at this as, you know what? We have a chance to do a hard reset, and we can do the hard reset with a young, future, cheaper franchise quarterback.
So 2 years ago, going into 2 seasons ago, not this year, the year before, the Buffalo Bills were the Super Bowl favorite, or one of the Super Bowl favorites. I think it was Kansas City and Buffalo, because Kansas City's always in the championship game, so clearly they're one of the favorites. But the Bills were right there. And I remember everybody talking about this is their year. This is their window.
Yes.
It's wide open. And then they consistently underperformed, including losing a game to the New York Jets, which they shouldn't have lost, but whatever. They lose the game to the New York Jets. And that's when everybody was like, oh, okay, something's not quite right. Also happened to be the first season that Brian Daboll was no longer their offensive coordinator. And we started getting this inkling that it's just a little bit different up in Buffalo. So they come into this season, they'll correct those mistakes. They won't make those same things. They won't have the same turnover issues. Ken Dorsey, now in his second year as the offensive coordinator, he'll be better. Guess what? They're worse. And their window is now, it feels closed. There's always a chance, but it feels closed. And if they underperformed and win 8 games this year, it's not egregious. It's not terrible. It's not like what the Giants are going to be this year. But if they win 8 games, miss the postseason, I think Sean McDermott gets fired.
No, and by the way, I'll disagree with you about one thing. I think it's more egregious than what happens to the Giants. This is a Super Bowl contender. Okay? The Giants, and to your point, you always looked at them and said, they may win 8 or 9 games.
Yeah.
Maybe there was some Giant fans that were overhyped.
Yeah.
The Buffalo Bills, coming off a 13-win season, coming off an 11-win season, coming off another 13-win season, they've won double-digit games 4 years in a row.
Right.
They're considered a Super Bowl favorite. For them to miss the playoffs is a greater disaster than what happened to the Giants. And I do agree it's going to lead to major changes. And having a willing partner, and I do agree and think that the Giants would be a willing partner.
And by the way,
because of the connection.
It's not just the coach. It's the GM.
It's the GM, it's the coach, and it's having a top pick. Look, if the Giants finish out of the top 2 or top 3, then maybe this discussion can't happen.
Yeah.
I think it is related to finishing in that bottom 2, where you could say to the Buffalo Bills, listen, we're taking that contract, we're taking Josh Allen, and we're furnishing you with your future quarterback. Yeah. Not the idea of picks that could turn into something. We're giving you that future quarterback. That's the game changer. That's the difference. But the question the Giant fan has to ask themselves is, you thought it was just a battle between Daniel Jones and drafting a guy. No. This is a menage a trois, if you will. There are 3 options here. It's run it back with Daniel Jones. We call that the Eli. There's draft your own guy, hoping that Caleb Williams or Drake May is the answer. And then there's that sexy third option. You get that angry guy from Buffalo who's about to force his way out of that hellhole. And you say, you know what? Let's make the magic again with Joe Shane, Brian Daboll, and Josh Allen. To the Giant fan, how you want to roll the die, baby?
I know how I am. You have my opinion.
Yeah.
If you can upgrade a position, I do not care which one it is, upgrade that position.
I hate to sound greedy, but what else are we getting?
What else are we getting?
Just to add this,
That is
layer,
greedy.
just to add
Don't
this
be a
layer to
Gavone,
it,
man.
if the Giants were not making this trade with the Buffalo Bills, and we are talking about the unique unicorn year where now 2 quarterbacks are viewed to be the best quarterbacks since Trevor Lawrence coming out, and you have one of those lottery tickets, and if they weren't making the trade with the Bills, you'd get, 3 first-round picks? You'd get... I think you get more than Josh Allen.
You know what? Now you're getting too greedy.
No, you think, just stop and think about what the trade package would be if it wasn't Buffalo. I think we get a 3rd rounder plus Allen,
if
too.
you traded back, which is another one of these options, assuming the Giants are picking in the top 2, where you get a quarterback-hungry team, and Tiki brought this up a few days ago, whether it's a team like the Minnesota Vikings, you name it. There's a lot of teams in the NFL that need quarterbacks. You're right. You would be furnished with an incredible trade package. But this is different. And that's why this is somewhat realistic. If the Buffalo Bills season continues to just go sideways to where they're forced to blow it up, that they would be given the opportunity after a disastrous year in bringing in a brand new head coach where they can say, you know what we're going to start with, though? A cheaper alternative. A guy who maybe doesn't need to be fixed by another offensive coordinator. Think about it. When they fire Sean McDermott at the end of the year and they hire yet another offensive coordinator, that's going to mean Josh Allen will have gone through 5 offensive coordinators trying to refix him to what Brian Daboll had him at.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a perfect opportunity, but in fairness, you're probably going to have to throw in that second-round pick you got for Leo Williams.
All right. I mean, that's a separate argument, but I actually think Buffalo's kicking in more. But that's just me.
But you'd make the trade.
Of course. And by the way, where Tiki started with the getting you on the Stroud versus Rodgers thing, we're also talking about a 12-year age difference. And that is the biggest deal with that.
And that's why I would have. And it's
You're
not a fair question on it because Josh Allen's 27, 28 years old.
27. Just turned 27 in June.
Okay. So, but he's really, then I look at him as 28 because then he'll be playing for the Giants at 28. But yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Besides the point, he's still a young guy. And so far throughout his NFL career, he's been a durable guy. Despite the physical contact he takes, he goes out and he plays every single Sunday. But Buffalo fans, as you watch your team crash and burn, and hopefully my team can contribute to that on Sunday, if we don't force you to crash and burn Sunday afternoon, I got bad news for you. The Philadelphia Eagles the following week will. The Kansas City Chiefs 2 weeks after that, they will. The Dallas Cowboys the week after that, they will.
Oh, my God.
That's why the Buffalo Bills right now at 5-5, whether you beat my team on Sunday or not, let's just be real. You're dead.
So that means for this dream to come to fruition, Giant fans got to root for the Jets, Eagles, and Cowboys in 3 of the next 4 weeks.
That's correct. Yes.
Hey, if it gets our guy, gets our own
You're right.
Look
You're
at this.
right.
Tiki's already called him his guy. He's my guy. He's my guy.
I haven't seen Tiki smile like this on a Giant opinion in a long time. Doesn't where he sits.
Feels good.
Feels
good to think positive, finally.
We'll get to your calls coming up next on at 877-337-6666. Plus, one of the most awkward exchanges you'll ever hear between two legendary pitchers. And we'll get to the Aaron Rodgers timeline and what being in it truly means for him to come back. Toll-free number 877-337-6666. Of course.